What's going on, squad? It's another wonderful day because it is a brodacious life. And of course, I got with me the most brodacious man alive. I've got Dr. J. Dr. J, you ready to roll into it today, buddy?
Man, I'm excited and ready to get on here and get rolling. Are you ready? Are you ready to do this?
Let's do it. Let's get into it.
Hey, look, so today, here's the big thing that we're talking about. I'm so excited. It's like I'm on this topic. Today, this episode, we're going to use a book, but we're talking about the key principles to find success in pursuing your dreams I know I'm really into real estate investing right now. In fact, I've been sharing it with you, right? We've been talking about it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I gave a book recommendation and we're going to get in a second, but I'll tell you, even if your real estate is not your thing, everything that we're about to talk about through the lens of real estate, but these principles can apply to you looking for success in anything. So, but anyways, like many other things, real estate investing can be kind of overwhelming. But the ultimate goal is that you purchase houses. Some people want to flip clunkers to keepers, and finding renters for their property. And then once you have renters, you can take the money back out of the house. We call that the BRRRR strategy. And at its most basic form, it really sounds really complicated, frustrating, overwhelming. But then we found this book called The Pathfinders Journey by Eric and Tiffany Vogel. I hear you found it, correct?
Yes. So I'm really excited about this book. If you're wanting to get into this book, go to our website, abrodaciouslife.com/resources. You'll be able to find that book. So you'll have a great reference there for you. And I just really enjoyed this book. It made me really ask questions on, what am I doing? Where am I going to be in 10 years? Is what I'm doing right now what I want to be doing for the rest of my life? And, I told Dr. J, and I told you guys a million times, I love my job and I love everything about my job. But there is something about this idea that maybe I could be doing something instead of investing maybe in stock markets. And I'll be honest with you, pre-COVID, I was big in on cryptocurrency. Shout out Dogecoin, get your act together.
Dude, did you have some of that coin? Yeah.
So I have like 10,000 Doge coins. So this is just an interesting way that I think it's more realistic on how I can find myself in a better investment future instead of focusing on maybe all these other things. I'm going to double down and over the next 2 years pay off debts and get into the real estate market. So it just makes you ask a lot of questions and is this the job that I really want to do for the rest of my life?
Yeah, look, I will tell you, I find the whole system kind of interesting as well. Like I was reading through the book and I thought this book is about it's a fictional story, but it's not. It's really about a real life scenario. And as they go through, this couple gets together and they start to ask themselves the question, can I dream bigger? And they run into this person that in essence teaches them how to dream bigger and then helps them get the stools, like the tools to achieve that,
Right.
So let me ask you this. What are some things, like if you were going to be like, if something happened to your job, what are some things that you would want to do? Like what would you dream for, Jonathan? What are your dreams?
So yeah, that was a big point of the book is that it was asking about, what are your dreams? I've been an executive chef for the last 10 years. I've been grinding it out in the industry for almost the last 15. And I've never been asked that or really thought deeply in that. To be honest, if you were to ask me like 6 months ago, I really don't know if I could give you a solid answer. I was just a absolute brain munching zombie, just scuffling through my day. I was mindless and just walking through head down. And I couldn't dream of this idea. So I'm very thankful that it's being presented to me now. I'm able to kind of keep my head up. So if my job, if I wasn't relying on my job, 5 of the big things that I would want to do is, after, of course, I feel like you got to put a precursor out there. Of course, after you pay off your debts, you do all that, all that stuff. I want to go and travel with my wife. That's something that I've always wanted to do. My wife is, she's my best friend. Dr. J is one of my
Oh,
best friends, but of course, my wife, she's the bee's knees. So
oh,
I
she can't
always
love you
say,
like I can. I'm
I
just
always
kidding.
say pastries in Paris, tapas in Spain, and food carts in India. Those are the big three things that I want to do before I die. As far as like traveling goes, obviously I like podcasting, and being able to spend more time podcasting would be amazing for me. If I could do this 5 days a week, I would. I love podcasting. And then, of course, cooking is a big part of my life as well, being an executive chef. But I'd like to spend more time creating a culinary academy, basically, not like as far as like a school goes, but like cooking videos online. I think more people, if they really understood the concepts of what I do, that they would enjoy cooking in the way that I do. I got very blessed to have a great education, and I want to share that education with people so we can all be passionate about food. And then the last thing is, I never want to miss another soccer game, another ballet
Mm.
recital. I don't want to miss a single thing ever again. I've spent many, many, many years, missing events. When I'm at the restaurant instead of being at birthdays. Like, you remember we used to have, my kids' birthdays at the restaurant just so I could be there for them, or else I wouldn't be able to leave my restaurant. So that was a big thing that I really want to focus on. It's been my focus since I've, kind of taken a career change here in the last 6 months.
I think that's huge. And I want to encourage you right now. Let's go. This is action step number one. If you're listening to this, the value, the reason why we want to talk action step number one, on a piece of paper somewhere, or on your Brodacious Week in the Brodacious Life Journal. If you're using that, if you'd like a copy of that, we give it to you for free. If you go to brodaciouslife.com, join our newsletter, you get the journal for free. So this week, one of the first steps I want you to write on there is write to yourself, write down your goals. What is it that you truly want? Can I give you my three of my goals that I've decided that I truly want?
Yes. Yeah, go for
Um,
it.
so here are three goals. Number one, in 2025, I will have freedom to spend time with Rachel and the baby during the daylight hours by owning my own business, which produces $5,000 in monthly cash flow through 25 properties that each provide $200 in passive income. I
You
math
got
ninja'd
super.
that.
Yes, you went
Uh,
super specific on that. I like
That's
that.
one. Second one, in 2025, I will be an educator on my own terms through operating a lifestyle design podcast, Brodacious Life, that averages 20K downloads per episode and provides an additional $1,000 of cash flow through monthly affiliate marketing, personally creating products and coaching services with my brother.
Yeah. Boom.
You're in my life goals, man.
Hey, you're my life goals, man.
I love it, dude. And then my third one, and this is kind of a personal one. I saved the best for last, and it's in 2025. I will wake up each morning bright and early and take my boy to school. I'll have the freedom to volunteer at school during the day if I chose to, and be there for all his after school events. And then I'll reach the weekends without being tired and without drowning in loss of mental focus. And I'll be able to spend more time doing the things I love with Rachel and our soon to be named boy.
There we go. I love that, man. Those are awesome, awesome goals, man.
Yeah, man, let's keep going. But I just want to encourage everyone out there to hear what the chef just said. Write your goal. Notice we both wrote them down, and we wrote them down differently. Write them
And I
down in
also
your
encourage
way.
you to, if you're married, I also recommend getting your spouse to do one separate and then reading your two goals side by side. That's one. It opened up communication between me and my wife, because maybe my goals don't line up with her goals. And then, kind of sprinkle it in, because at the end of the day, it's going to be time investment. You're going to need that spousal's approval and help. So at the end of the day, you want that person on your team. You got to be working together.
Well, let's dig in just a little bit. Talk to me. Give me some thoughts on the book. We haven't really talked a lot about what the book was about. So tell me a lot about the book, and then tell me why you think more people aren't necessarily diving into real estate investing, or if not real estate, maybe you can just relate it to whatever their dreams are. So talk to us about the book, and then through the book, why do you think people don't necessarily dive into their goals and dreams?
So real estate investing is extremely daunting. I've come from restaurants, which means my credit score is absolutely a dumpster fire. I've spent
It's all
my
good, man.
last spent my last 5 years kind of digging in and paying off some things here and there, which has helped us buy a house for the first time. And we've made some big steps, but there's still lots of debt and things that need to be cleared. And but all these things and expense reports and is it a good investment? And you can do all the right things, and still not get a renter to rent inside of that property. So it's a very challenging task to really, you know, to really put together. Now, what I like about the book is it says fictional, but it's you can tell that this is almost an autobiography from the authors. And the fictional characters are Charlie and Liza, and you can imagine Eric and Tiffany Vogel, and they're kind of going through this. And basically, everything is in like a storyline of events that are going on in their life, and they make it very relatable. They're not giving you big words that you got to also sling over and you got to Google type it up. Because trust me, I'm reading another book. I love a current book that I'm reading, and it's a great book. And we're going to be doing an author review and everything. But there's
Date
some
your
words
clients.
there's some words that I gotta look up. And so this book it's something that you can sit down. I read it in one day and I just really enjoyed it. And they walk you through the whole process, beginning to end, and how they found that passion through this story about Charlie and Liza.
Yeah, I think it's huge, and it's so funny. So I actually know the authors personally. They're great friends, great people, and everything that's in that book about the main characters' relationship, how much they love each other, and they're in their goals together. Just totally, both Eric and Tiffany. But it's so funny in there. There's a point where the authors are really talking about consumerism and how it prevents us from our goals. By the way, action step number two, I want you to think about what are the things that you do that are preventing you from reaching those goals, and maybe you could do away with. For example, in the book, uh, it talks about how the main character had a friend that bought an expensive truck and was making payments, but because he was moving towards his goal, he wasn't doing that. Or bought a big old house. All their friends were buying big houses and they were trying to figure out a different way. I literally sent Eric, I can't remember I think it was like a text message. After I read his book, I was like, dude, are you picking on me in your book? Why you got to talk about folks that bought a big house and a big truck? And of course, he said he wasn't, but it's like I made those mistakes. I've gotten years
Right.
behind because I wanted so hard to do whatever that I bought a big old pickup truck. I live in a big old house, but I have the bills, and I've lost
Yeah.
some opportunity costs as a result of that lifestyle creep.
And again, it shows you that every single time that you spend money, you're voting actually on what's really important to you, not just in the right now, but what's going on 10 years into the future. So it kind of opens up that dialogue in your mind of, do I really need to buy the $7 Starbucks? That's a big one. They just built us a brand new Starbucks.
Did you just see what he did? If you're watching the YouTube version, you saw the look that if you're on the podcast version right now, go to the YouTube version. I know what you just did there. He's picking on me. Country boy is picking on my set. Look, we got a Starbucks on every corner and I'm bad about it.
So they just got us our first Starbucks about 15 minutes up the road. And that's like my wife's new thing. That is like her spot. She's got to go like every day now, go get her
Maybe she needs to
decaf
move to the
grande,
suburbs,
sugar-free,
man.
non-fat. But every time that we spend money on even the small things, a soda, I've traveled today. I had to travel all the way up to Tunica, Mississippi. That's about a 4-hour drive for me. Then all the way back, doing some work for the casinos. And I bought a Arizona sweet tea can and a pack of mints and something else to munch on while I'm going down the road. And it's like, well, one, I'm thinking to myself, because, health is a big, important part of living a bodacious life. Do I need to be having these snacks? Little Debbie's aren't exactly good for the ride. And two, what money implications does that have? If that $8 that I spent, if I would have invested it, what does that mean for me 10 years down the road? So it's just kind of that constant thought, I think, of what I have for my money, what does that mean for me 10 years down the road? Stop thinking of what I need to buy right now to make myself happy, and think about what's going to make me happy in 10 years as well.
Yeah, look, I think that's huge. I'm actually taking a course. The author, Eric and Tiffany Vogel, the authors, they have, if you go, their website is On Purpose Investor, and they're just friends of mine. We don't get paid. For in fact, I don't even think they know we're talking about their book now, recording it. We're just doing it anyways. I just really believe in it, and they actually have a course right now called Dream Life University. We actually just had our first session because I was like, I'm signing up for that. I know the authors have watched their success. I want to get in that mindset. Let's go. And it's, you know, it talks, we just got done learning about write big dreams and write them out and write them precise and give it a timestamp, which was why my goals were worded the way that they were worded. And I say that when you're taking that action step of writing out your goals, it makes you want to give some things up. Like today, I was highly motivated because for the first time in my life, I have a big goal and I have a timestamp on it, and I'm highly motivated to get there because, and it's bigger than this too. Like it's not just like my goal one where the passive properties were and how many I need. Like the next step is really designing that out. And I think this applies to the chef's world or the band directing world or whatever anybody else is.
Right,
Do you
for
know
sure.
your goals and what are you willing to give up to accomplish them?
Yeah. Anything, my world right now is kind of, yes, I'm a chef, but my world is a lot to do with sales. Sales is a big part of what I do now. And, of those goals, yes, I have goals that are assigned to me from, my corporate office, but what goals am I going to set for myself above that? I'm the one who's, the corporate gives me the goal of 50% this, I'm going to set my goal at 55%. I'm that guy who's not just going to beat it, I'm going to crush it. And then anyone who I'm competing with, I'm going to make sure they see that report.
That's it.
You know?
Yep. I'm the same way. I'm balling. I get it. Hey, well, let me ask you this. We promised at the beginning of this, we were going to get into key principles to
Yeah.
find success, key principles to help you find success in your dreams. So thinking about the book, let's get to the meat and potatoes. When you were reading through the book, what were your 5 takeaways from the Pathfinders Journey, your 5 takeaways that the book talked about reaching success in real estate or really and truthfully anything? What were your top 5?
So the first one was like physically writing out my top 10 and knowing what's important to me. What does all of this mean? If at the end of the day, what am I going to be fighting for? And it's important that you understand what you're fighting for. It gives you motivation. It gives you passion in your heart. I want this. I want to take my kids to Disney. We don't really go on vacations. We've got a farm and we have all the stuff that kind of goes on around us. I want to be there for my kids, and I want my kids to have memories with me. The second thing is relationships are currency. And I don't mean that we take advantage of our relationships. I mean that in that it takes a team to be involved in moving the goal. It's rarely just me. When it comes to my job, even, yes, I have a goal and I set it hard for myself, but I have a group of people who help around me. There's, my associate, Johnny Casada. He is our center of plate specialist. And, he helps sell things like specifically meats, and I rely on him for that. And then I have an analytics specialist named Tom. Tom does all of the master numbers and everything because I'm decently good at math. I'm not that good at math. And the same thing goes for real estate investing. You need people around you. If you're not good at handiwork, you're going to need a contractor buddy that you can ask questions and be involved with. You're going to need a real estate agent who's going to help you find those properties and know what you're looking for in a property. You're going to need people who are smarter than you. This is something that a lot of people struggle with. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. That's honestly a very dangerous place to be if you are always the smartest person in the room. You need to find people who are guiding you and showing you different things and teaching you and educating you on all these different things. And then it also comes down to the right lenders and being involved with the right investors who are there with you in that process. When you have these relationships with these people and you're involved in their lives, and obviously they're getting a piece of the benefit as well, you have a symbiotic relationship that's working towards a common goal. And that's how you reach real success, is when you're symbiotic within your group of working towards a goal.
Yeah, no, I think that's huge. You just talk about relationships. I'll throw a book out there that I actually just put on our resource page as well, brodaciouslife.com/resources. It's called Who, Not How. And the premise of the book, and full disclosure, this book was highly recommended, and I've just started reading it. I haven't finished it, so there's a disclaimer. But even in the first chapter, I'm starting to see that I think I can be more productive in my life and more productive with my businesses if I start to focus on how can I build partnerships, how can I build bridges, because if I'm trying to do everything, I'm going to do everything in a certain, like you said, math is an important part of my company. I'm not very good at math. I could teach myself the math, but
Right.
the time that I will lose, I will not be profitable spending time in my strengths. There's someone better suited to that I can get to do the math for me so that I can spend time being maximally productive
For sure.
somewhere else. Uh,
Exactly. Exactly.
let's go to the next one. What's another
The
one?
next one is embrace the suck. This is my number 3 thing that I took in,
Embrace
you know,
that suck.
embrace the suck. Lots of different things are going wrong for Charlie and Liza in the mix. And you're going to be able to walk through that story plot with them. Again, I'm not going to tell you the plot. I don't want to ruin this book. I'm not going to be cliff notes for you. This is literally the tip of the iceberg of things that I have. I have a whole iPad full of notes from this book. It really guided me through things. So with that, embrace the suck, understanding that it's just part of the journey, and you need to embrace that, be excited about it. As weird as that sounds for us, we're a very, how do you say it? We're a culture that doesn't like to be uncomfortable. We like things to be snappy. I love it when my Amazon package, I order it and it's here in 36 hours. It is literally the happiest thing in the universe, right? We don't
I
like
live right down the
uncomfortable.
road from the Amazon
You get
warehouse,
your
so
stuff
it happens to me.
so it's we have to be able to understand that things are not going to be very instantaneous for us. We're going to have to work hard for it. You're going to have to getting started. You're going to have to do your full-time job probably. And then after your full-time job, then you're going to basically work another full-time job for the week and getting that first property flipped as fast as possible so you can start making an income off of it. So you really need to embrace the suck. If you've ever heard of David Goggins and his book Can't Hurt Me, he's got a big portion of his book this labeled very similar about not just embrace the suck. And in the middle of his, he does 100-mile marathon. He's just chanting to himself that, I'm going to finish at this time. And he's bragging to people as he's doing all of these crazy achievements. And he's just not mentally losing himself in what's going on. Number 4 is know your lane. There are many different people who are in the investing, real estate investing. You have to understand that everyone is on a different lane of the track. You're going to have some people who are on the fast track and they're just multimillionaires and they're flipping homes left and right. You're also going to have people who are just starting out, like where I'm at. Even, Dr. J, he's got a completely different lane over here to my right, and he's on a little bit faster track than I am. And there's nothing wrong with that. You got to understand that. Don't worry about running your race versus people who are in different lanes. Keep your head forward and race forward. Don't worry about what's going on in the lanes around you. Let them have their success. Let them revel in their success. High five them, and then when you get through the track and you're realizing that, hey, I'm really far ahead and maybe I'm having a little bit more success than the person beside me, reach that hand back and offer a hand to help somebody in their lane. But never compare yourself to what's going on in a different lane. Focus on what you're doing in your lane. And I promise you, what you're doing in your lane is what's right for you.
Yeah, I think that's huge too. And again, an action step here. I just want to throw this out there that applies in any business. Real estate coaching is know your lane. And I think in the book they talk about know your race, and other people are running different races. That is true whether you are a teacher, you work in a Fortune 500 company, or a stockbroker. It doesn't matter. Know your race. But I also go back to one of the points that no, the second point that Chef made, and that's that relationships are currency. Know your race. It's okay to know that someone else is running different, but help where you can. Use that, encourage everyone in their race, and you'll be encouraged running your race, because basically success is a team sport. That's another thing I got out of this book is success, no matter what you do, especially in real estate. It is, man, success in life
I mean,
is a
I come from
team sport.
kitchens. So success in my world is always, it's more about what my team can do more so than what I can do. I can do a lot. I feel like I'm pretty talented. I've been in some magazines. I've done some national competitions. I've placed. I hold myself really high. But at the end of the day, the success of the restaurant doesn't depend on my individual talents. It might have my name at the door, but it's really the talents of my line cooks and those who are around me, because I can do everything and run all over the place. But if the grill cook can't properly cook a steak, you're screwed. If the server can't not drop the glass of wine on the participant's lap every 3 minutes, you're screwed. So you need people around you who are helping you build you around. And again, these are people who are all in different lanes around you. And again, don't worry about their successes. Be focused on your success and then help those who are behind you. And the last thing that I wanted to comment on was thing that I took about it is the bond. The bond between
Mhm.
Charlie and Liza was so strong. And too often I have a vision, my wife might have a vision, but we're not working together towards the same goal. What I really appreciated about it is that you really see the bond of a marriage there. And I can really imagine Eric and Tiffany. I've only had a chance to meet Eric once or twice. And just you can just sense the love between the couple, and the how they have the passion and the drive to not just have, because I'm sure they didn't have all 10 were not exactly the same, but they worked hard to reach each person's 10 goals, and they worked together through the suck, through, not being able to find a home, to having everything go wrong inside of a first rental property. There's so many things that could go wrong, and they hung in there together, and they never lost focus of what was ultimately important, which was their marriage. And then the second thing was their vision and goals.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And the action step down here is really one we've already talked about, but it's know exactly what you want, but know what your priorities are in this. In this book, the couple understood that their number one priority was each other, and that they found happiness because they were building this goal, they were building this life, building this dream together. And we've talked about on a Brodacious life too. Brodacious sometimes might not be couple like a love relationship in that regard, a romantic relationship. Maybe it's family, blood or not blood. Maybe it's just your crew, your tribe, but it's
Yeah.
having those people that you have a plan that you're invested in, that you prioritize that, and that you're all moving in that same direction, and that you believe in each other, and that you're moving forward, and that when things get bad, your tribe is like that grease. If your dream is like the fuel in the tank, I think that's what it talks about in there. My dream is my fuel in the tank, but my relationships are the grease that keeps that engine moving. That's not in there. I threw that in. That's a Dr.
It's like,
J-ism.
yeah, all right, I'll
Yeah,
take it.
that part's not in there. But you know what I'm saying? Relationships, currency, all these things matter. So just to recap, what Chef Jonathan said, I think is so important is number one, action step. You got to know what your dream is. Write it down. Number two, know that relationships are currency. So I tell you right now, have you identified your relationships that add the most value? But go one step further. What are the relationships that you can add the most value to? Because we talked today that all success is a team sport. It's not about take, take, take. The whole book is also about give,
Has to
give, give.
give. I can't
Give.
ask my line cooks and my people to, you know, I can't ask them to work 20 hours on the line if I'm not willing to pay them, or be up on the line there with them, or, there has to be a symbiotic, relationship there where there's give and then there's take.
Yep, absolutely. And then you said embrace the suck. I think that's good. Life ain't always going to be great.
Man.
You're not going to get a participation award.
No, especially in real estate.
That's it. You just got to embrace it. You mentioned know your lane. That's another action step. Know your lane, know your race. It also separate yourself. Don't try to compare your race and your lane to somebody else's. Instead, say, hey, that's their lane. That's their race that they're in. If I have something of value to help them be successful, I'm going to offer that and expect nothing in return because I want to help other people. But at the same time, I'm not going to get discouraged by somebody else finding success in their lane because my race is my race to run. And then the final thing that you mentioned that I think is so important is you talked about prioritizing the relationships that matter. We talk at Brodacious Life about faith, family, freedom, finance, fun, and that family, you have to prioritize family because what good is finance and freedom and fun if you have nobody to do it with? That's a lonely life.
Yeah.
And so you have to prioritize. Do you have any final words that you want to add to this?
No, I just want to encourage people to just give this book a chance. Even if you are not necessarily looking into real estate investing, it's a really great book. And the principles that they apply in this book can apply to other things. It definitely apply to my world as being an executive chef, definitely applies to the world of being a band director. And, again, you can find that book on our resource site at abrodaciouslife.com/resources. Don't worry. You don't have to worry about spelling. If you go into the links below, whether on the podcast or YouTube, you will be able to find a link to that. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Please make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe. We really enjoy having you here on A Brodacious Life.